Man, Lions fans are sensing something strange in the air right now. Three pieces of news came out almost simultaneously, and each one affects a different part of the team. There are rumors about the disappearance of the passing game, some candid words from Dan Campbell about Detroit's recent wins that left fans speechless, and there was also a change to the defensive roster that nobody expected this week. Stay tuned because the first piece of news is already blowing up. Alright, let's talk about something that Lions fans have been arguing about for weeks now. And honestly, it finally exploded. Detroit has one of the fastest wide receiver duos in the league. They've got legit playmakers, and somehow they're dead last in the NFL in deep passing. Dead last. We're talking 32nd out of 32. Only 6.8% of their pass attempts have traveled 20 plus air yards. That's not just low. That's one of the worst marks the league has seen in nearly a decade. And yeah, when you hear that number, your brain instantly jumps to Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams. Everyone knows Amon-Ra is a monster underneath, but the dude still hasn't been used as a true deep target. And Jameson, the guy everyone expected to unlock this offense vertically, hasn't hit that breakout stretch people were hoping for. None of it is connecting the way fans imagined. But here's the part that explains a ton. The offensive line has been struggling. Jared Goff hasn't had the clean pockets he's used to. When a quarterback doesn't have time, you can forget those slow developing deep concepts. The moment Goff sets up to take a shot, the pocket collapses. It's hard to hit bombs when you're trying not to get folded in half. Detroit does have a rookie with legit deep threat potential, Isaac Tesla, and you can see flashes of what he could bring, but again, he's barely being targeted. It's tough for a rookie to make noise when the ball's not coming his way. And now the Lions have the Packers coming up, and Green Bay's defense is playing with real discipline. They make you earn every yard. They want you to be patient, dump it off, live in the 5 to 8 yard zone, and hope you get greedy. If you start forcing deep shots just because you're frustrated, they'll make you pay for it. Dan Campbell actually broke all of this down this week, and you could tell he's not thrilled, but he understands exactly what's happening. He basically said, look, you gotta stay patient. This defense forces you to do that, and the teams that get in trouble are the ones that get bored and start forcing the ball downfield. He's not wrong either. Sacks, strip sacks, ugly picks. That's how a game spirals out of control. Campbell kept hammering the word efficient. Stick to what works, stay on schedule, get the ball out quick, and wait for that one clean shot. He even said when that deep opportunity finally shows up, you have to hit it. You don't know when it'll come, but you better connect. And he placed some responsibility on the receivers too. If you're living in the short game, you need wax. You need guys catching a 5-yard throw and turning it into 15. Amon-Ra can do it. Gibbs can do it. Laporta can do it. That's where Detroit has to win until the deep ball finally comes back to life. So right now, the Lions' passing attack looks like a Ferrari stuck in second gear. The horsepower is there, but the situation isn't letting them open it up. You can feel the frustration building in the fan base, but Campbell seems convinced that patience and efficiency are the only way to survive defenses like Green Bay. And if the deep ball issues weren't enough, Dan Campbell dropped some honest comments about where this team really stands right now, and this next story is even more surprising. Now let's talk about the roller coaster win the Lions just pulled off, because it says a lot about where this team is mentally right now. Detroit went down double digits to the Giants, a Giants team that's 2-10 by the way, and still clawed their way back to win 34-27 in overtime at Ford Field. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't clean, but it was a win that pushed Detroit to 7-4 heading into a critical Thanksgiving matchup with the Packers. But here's the thing that really grabbed everyone's attention, Dan Campbell's reaction. He wasn't dancing about the comeback, he wasn't fired up about surviving a close one. Instead, he basically said, yeah, this might just be our path now. Campbell said straight up that the Lions are taking the hard road this season, and they're okay with it. And that line hits different when you remember what happened last year. Detroit went 15-2. They were rolling, controlling every game, looking like a legit force, until they got punched in the mouth and bounced right out of the playoffs by the Commanders. All that dominance didn't matter when it counted. So when Campbell says, maybe we've got to go the hard road and just win, he's talking about a team that isn't relying on blowouts or flash anymore. They're learning how to grind, how to adjust, how to survive ugly moments and still come out on top. And honestly, that's the kind of experience teams usually need before they become real contenders. And here's where things get even more interesting. Campbell recently took over the offensive play calling. Yup, not the OC, not a consultant, Campbell himself. Detroit was struggling to find rhythm, drives looked disconnected, and the offense kept stalling at the wrong time. So Campbell stepped in. John Morton, who replaced Ben Johnson after Johnson left for the Bears' head coaching job, still has a voice in the game plan, but he's not calling plays right now, and Campbell made it clear he still respects Morton's input. This isn't about pushing anyone aside, it's about stabilizing things before they get out of hand. And don't forget, Detroit also lost defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn to the New York Jets this offseason. So in 1 year, the Lions lost both coordinators from the regime that helped make them contenders. That's a ton of transition for a team trying to recreate last season's magic. But after that shaky win over the Giants, you could feel a shift. Campbell wasn't panicking. He was basically telling fans and players, last year felt easy until it meant nothing. This year feels hard, but maybe that's exactly what we need. Detroit isn't dominating the way they did before, but they are finding ways to survive, and sometimes that's how championship teams are built. And just when Lions fans thought the week couldn't get any wilder, the team made a roster move nobody saw coming, a decision on defense that shocked a lot of people, and now we get to the move that caught everyone off guard this week. The Lions decided to waive veteran cornerback Arthur Millay right before the matchup with the Packers. No warning, no slow build-up, just boom, he's gone. Mollett wasn't a superstar, but he was one of those guys who held the defense together when injuries started piling up earlier in the season. He even came up with a huge interception against the Buccaneers when Detroit desperately needed someone to make a play. For a unit that's been banged up, losing a steady veteran like that definitely raises eyebrows. Since the move came after the trade deadline, Mollett now goes through waivers. If no team claims him, he becomes a free agent and can sign anywhere. And with the way secondaries are getting beat up around the league, it wouldn't be shocking if someone picks him up right away. But the timing of the move tells you Detroit is bracing for something else. Reinforcements. Terrion Arnold has officially cleared the first step of the concussion protocol, which is huge. The rookie has been one of the brightest spots in this defense, and getting him back changes the entire rotation. Kirby Joseph isn't expected to return yet, but at least Arnold's trending upward. And Dan Campbell made one thing very clear this week. This stretch of 3 games in 11 days is all about being mentally locked in. He said the players basically had to erase the previous game from their heads overnight and immediately jump into Packers preparation. No cooling off, no celebrating, just instant reset. Campbell talked about how hard it is physically and mentally. Guys are tired, sore, and still expected to digest a full game plan at full speed. But that's the job. And with Green Bay beating Detroit in week 1, the Lions are in revenge mode whether they say it out loud or not. So waiving Mollett feels like one of those tough but necessary decisions, the kind teams make when they're trying to tighten things up for an important stretch. Detroit is betting on its young talent, betting on recovery, and betting on the mindset Campbell keeps preaching. Detroit's in one of those stretches where every detail matters. Offense searching, Campbell pushing the grind, and the defense shifting pieces. But do you think this team is heading the right way? Drop your take and hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next.